So, today's guest helps executives at a career crossroads find new direction. He also runs his own HR outsourcing company where he helps small business owners by showing them what responsiveness actually looks like. So, it is my absolute pleasure to have on today's episode Mr. Tom Gerhardt. Tom, thank you so much for being today's guest, man.
Hey, you're welcome, Austin. I appreciate you reaching out and putting me on. I'm very honored.
It's my pleasure. And I'm excited. I'm always excited for this, but I'm super excited for this episode. So I'm not going to blabbermouth. I want to dive right into it. So tell us a little bit more about what you do, Tom, and even more importantly, why do you do it?
Absolutely. So I like to consider myself an entrepreneur that's morphed into a solopreneur, kind of simultaneously.
Oh,
A brief little history, and I'll give the Cliff Notes version because my history is a little long and winding, but very intriguing, and I think it'll help kind of show folks where I was and kind of how I got to be where I am right now.
please.
I was in the finance world for the bulk of my career. I ended up becoming a portfolio manager for a very large global conglomerate, and it was very interesting, very crazy. I lived through the different, dot-com bubbles, the mortgage bubbles, and saw how things can change on a dime.
Mm,
And I've I've also been stuck in that career where I felt like I was doing it for the right reasons, but internally I never felt like I was really in the right place. And it's been very enlightening to me to kind of see what I took from those experiences. I decided in about 2014, with a little help, kind of a divine intervention push, where the company was asking for people either take a severance package or to move to another city.
mm,
I opted for the former and took the severance and decided to kind of go down my own route. I finally thought, okay, this is my time to really discover, who I am and what I'm about. So I decided I got involved in a couple small ventures. I got involved with a startup company. I was an investor, and then uh, a friend of mine had a small payroll and staffing business,
okay.
and so it was a totally different industry than what I was accustomed to. But I jumped in. I started learning what it was about, how I could help it, and what I could learn from it. And I spent the next few years kind of doing that and doing simultaneously being an investor for another company and running this small company. So I
Jeez.
learned a lot about myself. I learned what I was kind of capable of doing and what my strengths were, and kind of the stuff that I think I had hidden for
Mm,
a lot of years where I didn't really need it, so I didn't need to stretch it. So I discovered that I was capable of probably doing more than I thought I was.
mm,
And this led to creating uh, the idea of, I'm okay running this little company, but I really want to do something on my own.
mm.
So tail end in 2019, some crazy events started happening with that small company, and it led me to uh, connect with a guy I was working with indirectly, and he and I decided to become business partners, and we decided to create our own thing, which we started at the beginning of 2020. And it's an HR outsourcing company. It's called Stonebridge Partners, and we really we wanted to cater to small business owners solely. That's all we wanted to do. We wanted to become, kind of the ADP, the Paychecks of small businesses exclusively.
Nice.
And uh, so we kind of put the business plan together. We launched in January of 2020, and of course the pandemic hit, a month and a half later, and that kind of put the kibosh on some of the things we had going. Fortunately, we were able to land a few clients before that took place, so I was able to kind of run things as is and navigate my way through the crazy times that everyone was experiencing.
Mm,
And I started learning a lot about myself, Austin. I started learning that I enjoy running the show and kind of being responsible for all the little things, the minutia started making me excited. Just trying to figure out, okay, how to better do this, how to automate some stuff, how to streamline it to make it better for not only me but for my clients.
Mm.
And it's been a great experience. It's obviously gone a lot slower than we anticipated. We created a fantastic business plan, online in Excel that looked like we were going to be gangbusters by year 2, year 3, and we're 18 months into it now, and it's slowly ramping up. It's as things open up, for businesses, we're certainly buoyed by the opportunities that I think we're gonna have.
Sure.
And to finally wrap this kind of long-winded answer up, uh, during the process of running this company, I found myself figuring out what can I do to grow, my network. And I didn't honestly, I didn't think of a brand at that point. I was just, how do I network? I've never needed to network. I've always just had, the ability to talk to the people I need to, and then we do what we can with that kind of connection. But I never did it organically. I never tried to figure out how best to do that. And that's when I dusted off my LinkedIn profile. I'd had it for years and years, but never done anything with it. And I started getting on there, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to do anything. I just started putting stuff out about my company,
Yeah.
on my personal profile. But then I decided, well, I'll create a business profile too. I figured, might as well do that.
Right.
And so I did that. I started doing that, during the pandemic, during the early months of the pandemic, and started just kind of figure out, okay, I'm going to create content, and I'm going to do it consistently. And that was really my only plan. I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have an idea of where it was headed. I'm just going to do it and see what comes from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got started. So you mentioned that, I help executives at career crossroads kind of find new direction. So by the experiences I had in the finance world,
Mm.
I got those. That was the job I got stuck in. That was the job I ultimately just hated, and I knew that I was suffocating my own desires by staying in a place that was stifling me. And I knew that I wanted to do something different. So through the kind of the evolution of my progress since I left there, I figured, you know what, I probably have a good story to share, and maybe I can become a guide that can help other people who might find themselves in a similar predicament,
Yeah.
and maybe help them to navigate somewhere different and down a different road. And to my surprise, and I didn't start putting that out on LinkedIn until within the last few months.
Oh, wow.
And my story kind of takes a big detour when at the beginning of this year, when I discovered Justin Welsh and his content, and it really resonated with me. And I was like, man, okay, there's probably a better way of doing this. Maybe I need to learn from someone who does it a little bit better, or a lot better than
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so I started reading his stuff and seeing what he was doing, and seeing the success that he had. And then Jennifer, his wife as well, I started like, man, I was in the finance industry. She wasn't, but yet she's able to, grow this audience and disseminate, very solid, good information
Killing
in
it.
a way, and monetize it.
Right.
I was like, well, gosh, certainly I can figure out something along those lines to do.
Yeah.
So let me get cracking at this, and see what I can figure out. So, kind of to wrap everything up, I've used my experiences to kind of pave the way for this new chapter in my life, and trying to figure out how to best serve others and make an impact on others.
Mm.
Uh, because for so many years I was in this world where I was managing, up to $100 billion in assets, but I never had any personal contact with anyone who had that money, because it's mostly corporate money, banks,
Right.
very high net worth individuals. But I never felt like I was making an impact.
Yes.
So kind of going in a different direction and finding those soft skills that I was good at. I'm, good listener. I'm good at mirroring what someone says to me and then kind of reflecting it back to them in a different light.
Mm.
And I started getting people reaching out to me when I started using that particular content strategy. When I started telling people, "Hey, this is what's happened to me. If you're stuck, here's some ideas you can use. If you're struggling, here's something to think about." And when I started doing that, I started getting direct messages. I started receiving just people asking if I could get on the phone with them and start help them out.
Yeah.
And that's really led to where I am today. And it's still, I feel it's very much in its infant stages, but I'm really excited that I think I've captured something within me that I can become excited about and grow and figure out ways to both help people and sustain my family and hopefully grow to a place where I do that side hustle does become more of the main hustle. And simultaneously, the great thing about all this is that I want to help small business owners with my company. And complementary to that, I can help executives who in a one-on-one fashion help them kind of figure out their next route. So I feel that there's a lot of overlap and a lot of complementary ideas that I can kind of weave into my plan. So it's not I don't have to put on one hat to figure out, okay, I need to focus on the business today. And then the other hat, I need to focus on these one-on-one clients.
Right.
There's a lot of synergy amongst those two that I think really helps spearhead my plan moving forward. So sorry for that long-winded answer.
No, that's great because you know what? I feel like a lot of people can relate to your experiences. I mean, the listeners know. I mean, the whole series, every episode is about you, the guest, and your history, your experiences, especially since I think your adaptability due to COVID is inspirational enough because a lot of people they kind of have a similar situation where maybe they did start a business. Maybe they started a business at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. They had it all laid out, perfect. COVID hits, ruins everything.
Right.
But you show that there's still possibility for resilience, which is great. That because something like that, which is a rarity, but because something like that happens, might throw you off track business-wise, it doesn't mean that you can't still continue to grow, still continue to flourish and thrive. You just kind of have to just hustle through it.
Absolutely.
Successfully. And I mean, you get the vibe too in kind of like in your composure, in your countenance when you're talking about how you're really researching for something that you were at the end of the day you're passionate about, and helping people helping small business owners just happen to be that that connection. So that's great, man. I think a lot of people can learn from that.
Yeah, and I think it stems a lot from just my history. As you can see, I got some baseball cards on the back wall. I'm a big sports guy. I always was involved in sports growing up, and I think that it shaped my adaptability. It shaped my work ethic. It shaped kind of the person who I wanted to become. And as I've gotten older and I've moved away from the participation in sports as much as I still want to, but my body is telling me I probably shouldn't anymore. But more in the coaching aspect of things. So I've always, as soon as my kids got to an age where I could help coach, I was coaching, at the Y and other leagues for over a decade, and having that mentality, being the coach mentality when you're trying to help people out and you're trying to, get them from uh, a standpoint of formulating a goal in their head to actually executing upon it and realizing it and achieving it.
Yeah.
Those things are that's where I get the most thrill in life is seeing someone achieve something, and it makes me feel good when I see them feel good. And that's kind of my whole mentality in starting this business, because I wanted to help other small business owners like myself because I didn't have the guide to help me. So if I can help some other people, it made total sense to me. And and I have enough of that competitive drive and spirit left within me that I think it fuels me. And I wake up with the mentality every morning of, okay, I'm going to see what I can accomplish today. And I'm the quintessential eternal optimist about most things in life. So I try to adhere to that philosophy, and I think it's contagious. When you're around people that seem to spew that positive mindset, it makes you want to be more involved. It makes you want to get yourself going. And I've always felt more comfortable identifying in that type of frame of mind than any other. So I think that resonates
Yeah.
with people and the people I work with. And it's been amazing, Austin. Really, the few one-on-one clients I've had, which again, I'm still in my infant stages, and I'm not even selling that really. But I've gotten a few clients that way, and it's been really exciting because I've I've seen the growth. I've seen the types of struggles people have, and then everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different path in life, and trying to get not fix them, but get them to see their own reflection in what they're saying, and identify some of the pain points that they're feeling, and just get them to talk through it, because sometimes people just need to be heard,
Right.
and people need to be understood, and that's the validation I think that translates across the board. I mean, whether you're talking to a client, whether you're talking to a family member, whether you're talking to a kid, it's that ability to validate people, to understand, to listen, to empathize, that makes you know my role, my job, my passion, more fulfilling. And I keep going back to the, I sat, got at the trading desk at 6 a.m. every morning, and was busy till 4 p.m. every day. And I just thought, God, there's got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm really excited about what I'm doing now.
Right. And that's what it's all about. Like you said, I mean, doing something that you love and doing something that you're passionate about. And if you are, I mean, if you are running your own business and it's just something that it kind of comes off like it's effortless, like it's seamless, because although it is work, it doesn't really seem like work, or it doesn't really feel like work. Like you said, there's a difference between, working in that office setting, that 6 to 4, and then doing what you're doing now, but actually enjoying that work and you're kind of finding your purpose doing it that way too. So
Right. Exactly.
that's what it's all about. I feel like it makes business growth a lot easier, because of your passion, you're willing to just kind of just keep going and doing more and providing more. And it just gives you, I feel like you gain further control. Now you kind of have that internal realization that, you know what, I'm doing what I love. This is what I'm here to do, and I enjoy every second of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Spot on. Spot on. Yeah. And what uh, what really excites me about this journey is, I'm rediscovering, some of the stuff that I hid for a while. And for the recent kind of iteration that I've been going through, it's about writing. And I used to write a lot, and I used to feel like I was pretty good at it. That's one of the things my wife and I used to do when we first met. We would like write stories to each other, and just add to each. We would start a story separately and then combine them and then just add to them. And that was kind of our love letters to each other.
That's cool.
So uh, so when I got back on LinkedIn and started trying to figure out how to create content, so I was like, well, I need to figure out how to, I know I can write well, but there's a certain strategy
Oh yeah.
that I wasn't, I guess I didn't catch on to until later on, that, okay, some of the most successful people on here, there's a certain strategy, and there's not one strategy, but there's certain strategies that kind of work for different people, because everyone has their own voice.
Right.
And so I've kind of tried to play around with some different ideas, and I've read some books. I think even on one of your last podcasts, y'all were talking about the story brand, Donald Miller.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that book. That's a great book.
So good.
That's so good. And it just opened my eyes to how to really craft and understand everything from the customer's viewpoint, from the client's viewpoint.
Right.
And it made me think of, well, how can I form, clear, concise, and call to action type of content that's not salesy.
Right.
And that's what I've really been working on. And it's about adding value. It's about adding value every day and trying to, figure out ways that people can gain, valuable information from, but in a way that's digestible,
Right.
that's entertaining, that's compelling, that's interesting. And it's funny. I'm always thinking of ideas like, when I go to bed and I have to, oh gosh, I need to remember that. So I, have my phone and write in my notes.
Yeah.
And just because sometimes I'm like, oh man, that's a really good one. I need to hold on to that. And if I don't do it right then, I wake up the next morning, I'm like, what the heck was I talking?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I've really enjoyed kind of stretching that muscle again. And I create content like 2 weeks out at a time right now, and just trying to, because I just come up with ideas, and then I, listening to a lot of the stuff that's in the audience and income community that I'm involved in, that I know you're in. It's about, I find different ideas that people suggest or offer, and I think of repurposing old content and figuring out ways, because my old content was crap, and so I've looked back on it, and I've like, okay, maybe I can just redesign it a little bit, and the message was good, but it just wasn't formatted great.
Right.
And it's funny, I just yesterday I went back and looked at my very first post on my personal page, which was a little over a year ago. And it was about, hey, launching a new company in the middle of a pandemic. Hey, great idea. And I got like 21 reactions or something to it. And I thought, man, this is going to be easy. And then I went and looked at every post for the next 52 posts. And my average, I never got into double figures.
Yeah.
And my average engagement was 2.3.
Holy smokes. Yeah.
So in that, 52 posts, it was probably, that's probably 3 to 4 months or whatever. And I was like, but I stayed consistent, and I just kept on working on it. And so finally I found some breakthroughs, and started seeing some more results, and it kind of fueled me a little bit to think, okay, maybe I'm doing something better now. But yeah, man, I'm still a work in progress.
But I mean, anyone that goes on your profile and they see kind of like the engagement, I mean, anyone can see that you've definitely developed like a genuine community.
Yeah.
Because it's not just people commenting, oh, great post, or great stuff, but it's genuine conversation that goes back and forth. Anyone can notice that in your comment section. You're going back and forth, but you guys are having real conversation. And I like that you brought up the fact that, I mean, I feel like it's always a work in progress. But as long as you're kind of focused on providing value, I think that naturally you're just going to progress without even noticing it, because you're so focused on providing value and giving more and more. You start to kind of like inadvertently learn the ways so that what you're giving can be received a lot kinder.
Right.
I know for me, I used to post really long content, and I don't even want to look at my first post. I don't. But I know I used to post like really long content, but then again, I had no strategy. I had no idea what I was doing. But then I found that, okay, let's make it short, because that's easier for me, make it nice and short, but also throw in a point that's either changed your mindset or has like that had a huge impact on me. Put that out there. And I think that's what makes it easier too, because really all I'm doing is just anything that I'm learning that I'm excited about, I can just make a post of it. Like you said, you've got a whole list, you keep it on your phone, just make a post about it. And it's like, just kind of formulate it so people want to look at it and then put it out there. People will love it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I found that, you know, a lot of, by accumulating a great audience and community kind of around you, you get good feedback. And I have you know, a few people who will even send me direct messages going, hey, you know, there's something in your post that really hit right, but you know, I kind of object to something you said, and maybe you can say it differently. And I'm like, hey, I love that feedback, and it makes me want to, you know, really dive in deeper and go, okay, how can I structure this that makes it more compelling? Because if one person saw it like that, then probably more people saw it like that. So I want to, you know, and I know not everyone's going to like everything I put out there. I totally get that, and you know, you kind of need to be polarizing
Yeah.
in some extent to get some traction and get people looking at your stuff and stopping their scrolling. Uh, but again, you know, I like to try to, you know, I'm not a, I guess, well, yeah, I am a perfectionist, but I try to be realistic about that, and know that it's going to be, you know, a process, and I'm going to get better at it slowly and incrementally.
Right.
And like you said, sometimes you don't even notice that you're improving, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait a second, I went from like X number of people commenting to, you know,
All
double
this.
that, and I was like, wow, what's happening? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's a cool evolutionary process that happens when, you know, if you're just putting your head down and trying to, you know, add value, like you said, and you know, share your thoughts and your expertise and your wisdom. And you know, there's people who aren't at the same spot you are. They're a little bit behind you, and some people a little bit ahead of you, but the people behind you are the ones that, you know, I'm trying to target, and the ones I'm trying to help. And you know, ultimately that's who I think I can build, you know, a lot of different things around that, where I can be more useful and more impactful. And honestly, I'm using, you know, 2021 was my year to kind of give. That's all I'm trying to do in 2021. I'm not going to be asking for anything from anybody, because I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I am at the place where I, you know, and it's not like about deserving, but I want to be, uh, I want to be at a place where I'm comfortable, where I think I've gained enough expertise in about my own self and how I can help people,
Right.
before I'm willing to try to say, hey, you need to get this, or you need to take this course, or you need to book a session with me. You know, I'm not ready to throw those out. If people ask me and talk to me about it and want to do that, then certainly I'll have that conversation. But I'm not selling anything right now.
Right. No, you know, I think that's very noble too, because a lot of people on the flip side, I mean, we see them, you know, the people that kind of they just dive out there because it's a money making opportunity and that's it.
Right.
But there's no exchange of real value. And I think that's what kind of separates, you know, those that will be in business for a long period of time successfully, as opposed to those that are more on the tactical side, where it's just kind of like the business is up and running for today, making good money, but then after a period of time, it's over.
Right.
But if you've got, and honestly, I mean, the same way that we had the discussion about, you know, how giving value kind of naturally evolve your profile and everything, your posts, everything like that. I mean, that happens in business too. I mean, if you're focused on always trying to do what's in the best interest of the client, and you're always trying your best to be that trusted advisor, you'll notice those changes, you'll notice those evolutions in your business that kind of just happen unconsciously.
Right.
You know, the way that you approach, if you're doing coaching, since we're both talking coaching, it's like the way that you approach coaching, you know, the way that you treat clients, the way that you view clients, you view your marketplace, all that kind of just evolves naturally if you've got that, you know, genuine perspective on things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I see it for my business. You know, I was, yeah, since I had never run my own business, I didn't know exactly how to navigate that path. And you know, I hired sales guys at first. I tried to figure out a game plan, and you know, no one knew exactly how to navigate through the pandemic. And we were just throwing you know, feelers out and trying to see what stuck on the wall. And that was challenging. And I know other businesses like you mentioned, they tried to start and they just completely collapsed. And I feel very fortunate that we were able to kind of get through that period. I mean, there was definitely some times where it was very nerve-wracking and we didn't know if we were going to be able to make it, but it all did work out. And one of the things that when you did my introductory, one of my little taglines is for my business is I want to show companies what responsiveness looks like.
Mhm.
And that's where I think our company has really risen above is, there's, especially with the marketplace that we're competing in, because we're competing with, ADP has 80% of the market in this segment. And but there's a gap, and the gap is where they hire all these great young enthusiastic account reps, and
Mhm.
those account reps are that's a stepping stone job for them. They're looking to move on and move on to bigger things.
Right.
And so the clients that we've gotten, some of them are ones that they reach out to their account rep 2 months down the road and no one's there,
Mhm.
and they're calling, they're like, wait, who's covering us now? We don't know who's doing my stuff. So that's where I thought we could fill in a gap, and because that's one area I am excellent at. I don't live on the phone, but I'm always conscious if a client is reaching out to just at least acknowledge and respond and say I'll get to that whenever I can. And that simple thing just means so much to people. My clients love the fact that I am responsive and uh, that they know they can count on me, because this is a time when I read so many different posts and articles about like recruiters just ghosting people for no reason,
Yeah.
and people going, well, I thought I was going to interview for a job, but I never heard back. And just there's so many examples out there of people just not you know taking accountability for their actions and their promises. And so that's one thing I've always been very good at, and I don't that's one of the things I promote about myself when I talk to prospects, is that I am going to be there,
Mhm.
step by step for this entire duration, and you'll never have to worry about missing a beat. And that's one thing that I pride myself with the company, and hopefully as we grow, that will be something that truly is kind of the linchpin for what we do.
Right. And that's a big deal. Seriously, that is, because especially how nowadays there's so many different changes and shifts that are happening in these companies.
Right.
At least having some outlet where it's like, okay, if I've got concerns about what's going on, about what changes are happening in the company I'm working for, I've got someone reliable that's always there. I can just reach out to them, shoot an email, give them a call, but I know that they're there if I need the help.
Exactly.
There's a lot that's going on, man. So having someone that's kind of stable, like a stable point while the business is shifting,
Right.
that's good to have.
It is. And so the company, we do the payroll and HR, and we can do business insurance and employee benefits. And it's one of those things where lots of people do that, but it's a matter of when you have someone seasoned, someone who's been through the gamut of different business experiences.
Right.
I think it provides comfort and provides that breath of that ease of consciousness that I can count on this person. I'm gonna, we're not you know going with someone who might be a flight risk. We're going with someone who's there, who's seen a lot of different things, and understands the importance of the accountability portion of this, because it's their company, and they want their company to run as smoothly and efficiently as possible, and they don't want to have the concerns about, gosh, if I need to call someone, who am I going to call? Or if my payroll's not run, who do I turn to? Just those type of things. If I can if I can elicit a feeling of just ease on their part, then I know that I've struck a chord, and that I can really devise a plan and implement something that will be beneficial to them. And And that's all I'm looking to do. And it's fun to see small businesses, survive and thrive because, as you know, I mean, there's, the landscape is certainly changing, and businesses are trying to adapt to the hybrid models, and they're trying to figure out their budgets and what their business looks like going forward. So there's going to be opportunities galore in lots of different industries, just trying to figure out the adaption and how it will work for them and how they can best serve, this new type of audience or new type of venture that's going to be developing. So, I see this as I think we're living through an age right now that is certainly unprecedented, and we're still so in the midst of it. We can't really see the end result and what it's going to look like and how it's going to impact, just different things. I mean, we're seeing so much. I mean, so much has happened in the last 18 months just in our world, and trying to translate that into business. I mean, it's no one has the right answer. No one knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so we're just, we're all kind of winging this, trying to figure out, okay, how best can I position myself to where I can capture, a segment of an audience that I'll be able to help. And a lot of us are trying to do just that, but we don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah. Because things are, yeah, because like you said, I mean, we've never seen anything like this, and company culture is changing. So, like you said, I mean, just doing the best you can with what you got, and just kind of just, I think you mentioned it earlier too, just being consistent and just kind of showing that perseverance in business, that'll kind of help you weather the storm, that as much as you can, really. I think that's a
Absolutely.
really big deal. Really big deal. So let me ask you this. I mean, so I feel like we talked about a lot of the things that you enjoy too about running your own business, and I think that the listeners can really agree that you're passionate, and they can see that passion in your expressions too, which is awesome. Well, we all know that business ownership, entrepreneurship, it's a lot of times it's over glamorized in the media, and there's a lot more challenges than meet the eye. So let me ask you that. I mean, what challenges have you seen in running your own business? I know we talked about COVID, but any other challenges that you've experienced and maybe how you overcame them?
Sure. So I think the main point is, whenever you're starting a business, there's so many unknowns. You can have the best business plan. You can, think you've thought through every possible scenario, and you haven't. There's things that pop up that you just aren't prepared for. There's hurdles and obstacles that will peak around the corner when you least expect it. And it's just a matter of persevering and figuring things out on the fly. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes you crash, and you you feel
Sure.
like, oh my gosh, how do we owe 7 grand to the IRS? What happened? Where did that come from? And so it's a matter of figuring out, okay, for me, because I kind of cover every aspect of the business. I do the books, I do the marketing, I do the demos, I do everything. And just trying to keep everything in front and trying to keep everything as automated as I possibly can, simplifies it a bit, but there's always stuff that pops up. I mean, doing the books is a headache in itself, and trying to so delegate. That's what I've learned. I've hired a great person to help me with the books on a quarterly basis. And be mindful of your budget. Don't overextend yourself. Try to be intentional with what you spend, and review it and assess it, and talk through it. If you have a business partner, if you have other people you lean on, help them to help you. And that's the best advice I can give. There's going to be things that pop up that you're not going to expect, and it's going to throw you for a loop, and you might get frustrated, and you might get a little off kilter, but it's nothing that you can't overcome. And for me, it's just trying to have that mindset of tranquility, of like, even at the deepest, darkest depths, I know that I can recover back to the surface. And when I get back to the surface, I know I can breathe again,
Right.
and it's going to be okay. And that's kind of my mindset with all of this. I know there's going to be, periods where it's going to be more challenging than other periods, and it's just a matter of staying with it and doing the best you can, because it's not going to be perfect. No one's going to do it perfectly. You lean on others who can help guide you or have more experience with it, who are just better at maybe finding the weak spots to help you kind of navigate through things. And it'll all work itself out, but you got to stay with it. I mean, if you quit, there's only one outcome.
Right.
If you persevere, then you give yourself a whole lot of other options.
Right. Right. And that's, I think I know I talked about it on the previous episode too, but it's like there's always this trial by fire, and it's not just one time, but there's just consistent things that'll come through. But like obstacles that can shut you down or make you feel like shutting down. But like you said, having that perseverance is a big deal.
No,
There's
no doubt, no
a
doubt.
big deal. It'll help you weather storms like COVID. It'll help you weather economic storms, and even on the worst side, emotional storms, because those happen all the time, in business. So it's good, and it's good, like you said, to have that mindset of tranquility, to just have some point that you can grasp onto that kind of just takes you out of it all. It helps you step back and reflect on what's going on, breathe again, and then get back into action.
Right.
I think that's super important, and that's something everyone. I think that's a continuous process, but I think that's something everyone should at least strive to develop.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes with time. It comes with experience. Life experiences help shape a lot of what we do and how we deal with it and how we respond to things. And I did want to give a quick shout out to my dad, who kind of helped teach me some of the lessons in perseverance. And today's a great day. I actually posted about it today. He's an Olympian, so he was in the 1952 Olympics in Helsinki, and he was a triple jumper. But one of the things he taught me above everything else was that when you're striving to accomplish anything, effort is everything. And I always try to adhere to that kind of mentality of, what, it can get dark, it can get crappy, it can get to a point where you feel like you just want to throw in the chips. But
Call
if
it.
you can, yeah, if you can just reach down deep inside and give that maximum effort that you're capable of, then things are going to start shaping up in much better form. And that's one of the my big takeaways in life is, when you show up and take action, good things are inevitably going to happen. They may not happen right away, but they are definitely going to happen, and they will certainly happen if you choose to take action, because they're not going to happen if you just stay stagnant.
Oh no, they won't. Yeah, you've got to take the initiative. You got to keep reaching out there. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people, is just kind of just staying the course, because sometimes you might not see any results from your efforts, but that doesn't mean that something's not compounding or something's not stacking up to a breakthrough.
Exactly.
So that's something everyone, and especially since I think because the listeners, a lot of them or most of them are side hustlers. I mean, that's something that's got to be fully understood, because
Right.
once you go from that 9 to 5 reality, and now you're doing this full time, these are some of the things that you'll experience. So this whole interview has been really great. I know it's going to help out a lot of people, Tom. This is going to be great.
That's awesome. Well, and the other big thing that I'm learning, that I'm still not good at, is time management. Because when you do have a side hustle, and like me, I do have the company stuff as well. Prioritizing your time is so incredibly important, and I can't stress it enough. And I am not great at it. I'm getting better at it, but it's a matter of, I see the people who are like uber successful, and just they seem to have everything, every detail ironed out in their calendar, and they just abide by that. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Sometimes obviously, stuff happens in life, but if you can adhere to a very structured uh, calendar, and maintain that discipline,
Right.
I think the results happen a lot faster, and it becomes a lot easier, because you don't have squirrel mentality where you're looking, oh, I got to do that. Oh, email popped up. I need to
Another
focus on
email.
that. Yeah, exactly. So it's that above, I think, a lot of other things that obviously are important, but that above a lot of things is really what I would stress.
Oh yeah,
Get better at it.
and that ties into the fact, 'cause I know one word I don't really like using, that's heard all the time is, I'm busy. Business is busy, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, you can be busy doing meaningless work or activities that just they don't contribute to the business whatsoever. But like you said, I mean, striving for productivity. Now, if that's the main goal, and aligning your calendar, aligning your schedule so that you can be as productive as you can. Yeah, every day you're going to find yourself banging out new, more and more steps towards major goals that you have. Before you know it, you're blowing through goals, you're setting higher ones, blowing through them because you're putting forth that effort.
Exactly.
And you've got that discipline, because discipline's a big part. That's a whole nother conversation, is developing that discipline. But yeah, I think that's important. Time management is always I think time management is always just going to be a work in progress, because even when you've got it down packed, something changes or something happens in the business, or the business evolves, everything else evolves with it.
True.
So but putting forth that effort, that's where that really comes into play. So I love that. And Tom, I mean, this whole interview has been super great, super helpful as well. And I gotta say, I really appreciate you, taking time out of your schedule, which we know is always tight, but I appreciate you taking time out to be interviewed and be a guest on today's episode, man. It's huge.
Man, I so appreciate it. Also, it's been great. Love the way you handle these interviews. I think I even mentioned that once before. You do a solid job.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And to everyone listening or watching also on YouTube, thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Passion, Pain, and Personal Finance Show. And I'll talk to you soon.